Hey people, what's going on? Welcome to Real Tough Talk. Tough Talk.
How is that even possible?
Tough Talk.
Whoa! Stephen J. partner goes,
Show some respect. You did not answer the question.
he's a bad man.
Bad man.
He's a bad. He finally said it.
The slipper's gone. The dress has holes in it. The cart turned to Tough Pumpkin again. So what else you gonna do?
I guess this team couldn't cover a twin mattress with a king size sheet.
Lights out season.
Lights out for you. Let's get as quick into the game as possible because I am not staying in this wig longer than I have to.
I want to part. Play it out, bro. While you talking this guy.
What is going on, people? What is going on? I'm humble and thankful to have y'all joining us today. I'm here with my partner Ghost, and we're in a special edition of UFL matchup. And this is all about the playoff run, the teams playing each other, and we'll really focus on that, give you a little glimpse of each game, on what we think, and we'll take you through all 6 games that's going down. And then our little thoughts of the 2 teams that have byes, and just to give you an idea of what's going on.
Well, everybody already, has already had their week off or whatnot. We didn't have any games on Saturday, so we decided to have like a small playoff preview to get us to talk about the matchups, what we think teams should do in these upcoming games. Because for a lot of teams in this playoff, a lot of them are going to go home. So they need to strategize as best as they can, and we're going to give some tips on, what we see on the field and what teams may be able to do to help their chances.
And with that, we'll also have Ghost giving his prediction.
As always.
And, he doesn't have the greatest record in the world. Predictions, some teams like when he bet against them because usually them teams win.
Yeah.
So, a la Super Friends, they're a big fan of Ghost doing his predictions because they actually won all the way and won the championship on those predictions. So we definitely going to give you a feel of everything. So we're going to jump on it right now in no particular order. We're going to jump in the Don't Sleep versus Blackout game. Now, that's a number 2 in Blackout versus a number 7 in Don't Sleep. Now, the good thing about this is these teams kind of know each other.
Yeah.
They actually played each other in BQFL championship game where Don't Sleep was able to beat Blackout in that chip in the B division, basically upsetting the world because it was practically on the road. Blackout's more of like a BQFL team, home team, and Don't Sleep was able to go on the road and beat them. Well, now you got the tables turned where they're in the first round of the playoffs, and Blackout is actually playing Don't Sleep on the road and hoping that they get the same magic that Don't Sleep got when they played them on the road.
Well, this Blackout team was trying to come into this league feeling like they had to prove that they were not just a stationary Brooklyn team, that they're able to travel and they're able to win in more leagues than one. So they came in, accepting the challenge, trying to show that they're a team that can win regardless of where they go. And they face a team that actually beat them in the BQFL, where they come from. So this is going to be an important game. I would say that this is sort of a rivalry here because, Blackout is trying to get retribution for the loss that they suffered earlier last year.
Listen, I understand what he's saying, but at the end of the day, these teams played each other in the regular season, and Blackout was able to beat them 15-12.
Yeah.
So, Don't Sleep can't look at what happened in the championship. That has nothing to do with now, especially when Blackout is already up on you by beating you in the regular season.
Yeah.
The keys as you look at these both teams coming in, like the tail of the tape, as you see on the screen, Don't Sleep is not coming in with the best thing in the world. I mean, this team, as you can see, they're 11th in scoring. They're 9th in efficiency, and 9th on defense, and 9th, 13th. They're not good defensively.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they did well this season was they were 4th in sacks, something that they led the league in last year. And that's very important. You got to be able to bring pressure against Alex because if he's comfortable, which is why Shaq has been doing an amazing job to keep him comfortable, this offense could be dangerous. The numbers don't reflect it because Blackout is not the offense that we expected them to
Yeah.
be, but Alex is still a dangerous quarterback. And one thing Don't Sleep have to do is to find a way to bring pressure.
The thing about Blackout that's a problem is that even in the last 2 games, they had a doubleheader the week before, and they were only able to score and win those games 7-0 in both of those games. So that just shows that for the last 4 or 5 games, they were struggling to score and get into the end zone. As you look here, they are 10th. They are 10th in efficiency. They are 9th in scoring. But they're 2nd in sacks. Now their defense really improved because they had to. That's why they were 2nd in sacks. They are 4th in efficiency and defense. They were stopping teams more so than not, and they are 1st in overall defense. They were a contender, but they stepped up to becoming 1st in defense because of a lot of games that they shut out in the last couple of games. So the defense gets all the credit in the world for stepping up, knowing that their offense is struggling, and if they're able to keep this consistency on defense, they will have a shot no matter what.
It doesn't matter if I'm Don't Sleep. I don't care about what their defense did. They could be the number 2 defense in the league. I mean, the number 1 defense in the league. We scored 2 touchdowns against them in the regular season game. Khalil was able to kill this defense as far as, so the numbers don't matter if I'm Don't Sleep. I don't care about them having the best. What I am concerned about is the sacks. They led the league in sacks, so they're going to bring the pressure. But this team was 13th in interceptions as far as Blackout's defense.
Yeah.
So that means Reem needs to go downfield. Something he did against them when he played in the regular season. He went against them and attacked downfield. So if I'm Don't Sleep, that's the things that I'm doing. And again, he was also effective using his feet. Yeah. As you see here, he ran the ball well when he was on the move. Mm-hmm. So for me, he has to stay on the move if he wants to get this game. Not only slow it down a little bit, but make the linebackers step up to help on a run and shoot downfield, which we know Blackout is not a great secondary. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they were 13th in interceptions. So basically, the tail of the tape, I'll tell you what I think Don't Sleep needs to do to win this game, and Ghost will tell you what he think Blackout needs to do to win this game. As you see, and they'll come up on the screen. First things first, if I'm Don't Sleep, do not let Brandon beat us. Brandon is their best offensive player. And they like to move him around. So as you see here, they had him on the outside. He beat Sherm with a bomb downfield. If you see him on here, they have him on a slot inside. He was able to cut to the outside to get to score. Keep Brandon at bay. Do not allow him to beat us if we want to win this game. The next thing, take shots downfield. Like I said earlier, you take shots downfield, Blackout is not a good team when it comes to bombs. You attack them. They were 2nd to last in interceptions, like I said earlier. You have to take your shots downfield if you want to make plays. And the last thing, if I'm them, do not send one. Shaq is able to block anybody one-on-one. As you said, see here, he was able to block one of the best guys rushing in than Ricky one-on-one. Send help. Keep one guy at the line and send 2 guys to attack Alex. If you do these things, you have an opportunity to win the game. That's what I'm doing if I'm Don't Sleep.
And to respond, if you're Blackout, there's multiple ways you can win this game. One thing I could say is I'm going to emphasize and start with the defense because that's what's been most consistent. And if you look here, one thing that they have to do is they have to make Reem uncomfortable in the pocket. When Reem is under pressure, which he's been most of the season, he hasn't been so successful as the numbers show. As a number show that we showed earlier in this segment. And then you have to make you have to get Brandon all over the offense. You have to find ways to get him in the game and get him into the game early. As you get him in the game, he's going to attract more defenders to follow him around, and that's going to get other guys open. And then the last thing you got to do is mix up the pass rush and keep the pressure on throughout the game. Switch it up. Make Reem keep guessing on the field. The whole thing about making him uncomfortable, this is the best way to do it. You have AB who's already a good giver that puts pressure on quarterbacks, but then you've seen Lucas get a few sacks in the last couple games. He stepped up. And let's not forget the linebackers on the sides the linebackers on the side blitzing in at key moments. You see Mike having a great season, a potential all-star already. So you rush him in, then you mix it up by bringing people like Macho to rush in. Mix it up and keep Reem guessing. As long as you keep Reem guessing, he's never going to really be able to figure out the defense, and he's going to make mistakes. I think that is your best bet in winning this game.
All right. We're going to wrap this one up. Give us your what you think. I ref, so I don't give my takes. So what do you think? Give me a score on what you think.
Me personally, I do not see this being a high-scoring game. The best thing I could say is I see Blackout winning this game 13-7. Reem is going to be able to figure out how to get in the end zone once probably in the first half, and that's going to be it. They're going to shut him down for the rest of the half, and Blackout is going to get an efficient, good enough offense and 2 touchdowns, but their defense holding, don't sleep, is going to be the key to them winning the game.
The next game we're going to talk about is the Monarchs versus the Gators. Now, the Monarchs coming in, they're the number 2 seed. And the Gators are coming in, they're the number 7 seed. Now, these teams did not play each other in the regular season because the Gators forfeited that game. Now, what makes it frustrating for Ramsey is Ramsey had an opportunity with 2 games left in the season to break Chuck's touchdown record of 25 and Corey's all-time touchdowns in one season at 26. So Corey had 23 touchdown passes, but ran another 3 in. 26 is the most touchdowns from one player ever in the season, UFL history.
Yeah.
And then you had Chuck, who has thrown 25 touchdown passes in the season, which is an all-time passing record, which Ramsey had 20 coming into the game versus the Gators. And then they forfeited. So, unfortunately, that game, he lost that Gators game, meaning they forfeited. He didn't have opportunity. He ended up finishing the season with 24 touchdown passes. 1 shy of tying the record, 2 shy from breaking the record, 3 shy from breaking up the all-time record. So, he had to be frustrated with that. So, this is like his revenge going back on that team. So, that's a big thing. And it could have cost him the MVP.
Listen, I think that you're overselling it a little bit because,
What?
They're overselling it because I don't think, first of all, Ramsey, as of this season, people don't understand. He's under a lot of pressure to win this season.
Correct.
More than most because unlike when he played with the Sharkz, unlike when he played with Riot Squad or even UTF, he did not have as much talent as he has on this Monarchs team all over the field on both sides. He's never played with a team with this much talent.
Okay.
So he is under pressure to win and be official, especially in the playoffs where a lot of people label him as a playoff nothing, pretty much, a nobody or whatever, because he doesn't win playoff games. That is his weakness. He doesn't win playoff games. He is a regular season quarterback, which is what he's been labeled. So he's under a lot of pressure. I don't think he was worried too much about the awards or anything like that. And that's going to segue into why Gators need to use that to their advantage, and I'm gonna explain why in a little bit. But I think you're overselling the whole frustration, revenge for my record, and all of that. He wants to win in the playoffs, and I think that's more important than anything else.
He was frustrated that they didn't play that game. He said it. He showed the energy. And, of course, he wants to win playoff games. But he can't do nothing about the regular season, meaning he's going to play what's in front of him. He is icing on the cake if he get an award.
Yeah.
Now, yes, you're right. Absolutely. This Monarch team is the most talent he played with. But this is the funny part about it. He don't have no pressure because last year, UCF, him at the quarterback, number 1 offense in the league. This year, he goes in the Monarchs, a team who offense – you're going to look at the numbers on the screen. He went to a Monarchs team that efficiency, they ended the season at 26% efficiency, offensive efficiency. For y'all don't know, offensive efficiency is how many times they had the ball and how many times they was able to score. So you look at it as, because the UFL is not a scoring lead, it's a defensive lead, you look at it as in baseball. If you got 40% in the 40s, that's good. Because, again, 30s, that's good because it's hard to score here. The 20s, you go by, that's bad. Similar to NBA shooting from 3.
Yeah.
30s is pretty good because it's not scoring lead. So if you look at the numbers that way, then you'll get an idea. Efficiency last year, the Monarchs was at 26% offensively. With Ramsey at the starting quarterback, they're in first. You know what's their efficiency in offense this year? 50%. So Monarchs scored 50% of the time this year, when last year they scored 26. They averaged 10.6 points a game.
So
this year, they're in first place, averaging 20 a game. So they're first in efficiency, first in scoring. Listen, this man has done his job, and at the end of the day, there is no pressure on him. He's going to try to light up the game, light up the score. Now, their defense, yes, the Monarchs' defense is not what they were last year. Last year, their efficiency was 29%. Their efficiency went up this year defensively. Their efficiency this year is 34%, 34.6 from 29. So it's not that bad. They went up. What they turned it around is this defense is first in interceptions. Mm-hmm. That's where they turned it around. Yes, like I said, they're only ninth in defense. Yes, they're only ninth in defense efficiency, but they're first in interceptions and third in sacks.
Yeah.
And the reason they're able to do that, because they got guys like Henry in the secondary, Bell in the secondary. Benny came over from Don't Sleep. He's playing well in the secondary. And they have arguably the best interior pass rusher in the game in Damo.
I mean, that's a lot. So you're telling me with all of that that's working for this team that Ramsey's not under that much more pressure? No. Whatever. Listen, I'm going to move on from that because you're ridiculous for not even understanding the point that I was just making. But that's fine. Now, I'm going to go on the Gators. And this is going to be a less optimistic explanation of a less positive explanation.
Let's say how you make it sound good.
Well, there's no way to say it. They're 12th in overall offensive efficiency, which means they are I would say third from last in overall.
Yeah,
there's only 14 teams.
Yeah,
so they're in 12th. So they're at the bottom of the barrel. They are 11th in scoring. In all honesty, they're in double digits in everything. So they're one of the worst in every single category. So I'm not the numbers are on the screen right here. They are 14th in sacks. You can see the rest of the stats. I don't have to read everything for you. They are bad. That's all I got to say. This team is bad. And it's unfortunate to see how this team ended the season because they have some guys out there that can make plays. They have potential out there. The main thing about that, with all of that they can't really be gauged, is that they become that much more unpredictable. They become that much more, confusing to even gauge or figure out. And that's why they have to play like they have nothing to lose, because they don't have anything to lose right now. At the end of the day, you got to have guys like Prodigy step up. He's shown glimpses of his, talent, and then sometimes they fade off. You have to have Rico be the guy that they drafted. He has to step up and be the guy that they need to lead the helm, especially on defense. They need him there. They need him to shift around, blitzing the quarterback. They need him in the secondary. Anything that he can do to get this team's morale up there so that they can be motivated to play better, they need that. They need Sesso to show up. Again, Sesso's another guy that shows certain glimpses of talent or promise, and then he fades away. So all of these guys got to show, and then the key to this is Nelson got to play more than anybody else like he has nothing to lose. He has to let it all hang out in this game. He has to take the shots that he can and just try his best to make things happen. They played too conservative in these games, in these last couple games that they played. They played too careful, and that is why they weren't able to make anything happen. Same as when Reggie was playing. He was playing too careful, uncharacteristic of him anyway. So they got to play like this is their last game ever to play the game. Like this is their last game ever. And if they do that, they will have that much more of a chance to win this game because they have to. First of all, and going into my main points of how this Gators team is going to need to win this game is, first things first, they got to make Ramsey take the check down. They have to give up the check down and make him take it, because, again, he likes to take shots downfield, and he becomes that much more dangerous when he does so. So force him to take the check down, dare him to make the check down, and try to make plays there. The next thing is you got to add pressure on the rushing because Kaz is a very good blocker. He can give Ramsey as much time as he needs in the pocket. You have to switch that up and get an extra person to rush in to make Ramsey force himself to throw the ball. When he's under pressure, he makes a lot of mistakes. So you have to add another pass rusher to mix things up. And my last point is Nelson has to take shots when he can. He has to mix it up. He can't play too safe. Even if you throw interception, you have nothing to lose, like I said before. So you got to take your shots when you can. Set up plays where guys stretch the field. Maybe you'll have time. You have the opportunity to chop up the field as the defense adjusts to that. But take shots when you need to. Be unpredictable, because if not, this defense is going to lock you down and you're going to go home.
I like how he sounds all excited. He sounds like it's simple. He sounds like
I'm not saying it's simple.
If all of this was capable, this team would have won more games. They have lost every game since their opening day. Opening day was the last time this team got a win. They have lost every team game after that. And Ant making it seem like this way, going that way, it didn't go the way he expected it to go. Now, it's not all his fault, but the captain got to go down with the ship. Now, on the other side, as far as the Monarchs, this is what the Monarchs got to do. Do not send help with Damo. Damo is Aaron Donald. Do not send help. I am letting Damo go one-on-one. They have nobody on this Gators roster that can block Damo. Nobody. The man led the league in sacks. Allow him to run rampage on this team. The other thing, capitalize on your mismatches. They don't got nobody that can guard Henry. If they find somebody, if they double Henry, Javon will destroy in the middle. If they focus on the middle, then you got Rams who could go on the move. You got Malachi. You got Bell. You got other guys. You got Benny. You got an offense that can really hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. So you focus on that. Those are your guys that can destroy. Led by Henry. Henry's your T.O.
Yeah.
He's unguardable. And he's going to get open downfield. Take them guys and knock them out. And the key is what happens, what you do with a snake. You got to cut the snake's head off. Take Rico out the game. Take Rico out of the game. Defensively, when he's on defense, attack him. Whoever Rico is on defense, attack him. We have said in the beginning of the season, Rico is not the defender he used to be. You can beat him. Attack him. Because if you do that, the confidence of this team will go down. That is their leader. And if you can get their leader and attack the leader, then you let them team think we don't got a chance. That's all what I'm doing. You do those tips, and you're going to win this game. Don't play with them. Don't joke with them. Attack, attack, attack.
Listen, it's all easier said than done. I'm not saying that Gators is going to be a team that's going to run through this Monarchs team or anything like that. But again, you cannot count this Gators team out. And the way you're giving instructions like, oh, this is going to happen, oh, just attack Rico and everything's going to be fine. But you got to understand, Ramsey in particular was in the same situation when he was with UTF playing against one of the worst teams in the league at the time, which is Rep City.
Rep City was more talented than Gators.
Whoa, we'll see.
Don't do that. Don't lie to the audience. Don't lie to the audience. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Your nose is growing. Don't lie to the audience.
Hold on. But my thing is, talent or not, the teams didn't have as much firepower. All the teams weren't as good as the teams are this year.
Right.
So the competition was less last year, and Ramsey still struggled with that UTF team to beat Rep City. So at the end of the day, it's the same thing here. I would say that it's all about how this guy comes out. So it's not going to be easier said than done. It's all about which Ramsey we get to see on the field. That's all I'm saying.
All right, give me your prediction.
With what I just said, I still predict this Monarchs team to win 20-0. Why? Because I do not see their offense getting off and doing anything positive. The offense is going to struggle throughout, especially with the consistent pass rush with Damu, because this Gators team has not been able to block anybody coming in. And I think that was the main issue with why Reggie struggled, and it's one of the reasons why Nelson struggled. Because they had no efficient pass protection. And Dom was one of the hardest guys to block in the game. So when you combine those things together, I don't see this offense having any chance of getting anything going. And that's why I predict a 20-0 win.
Well, I mean, you reality hit you and you made a good prediction. Now, obviously, you gave some good points on what they should do to win the game. The question is, are they going to be able to do it? We're going to go over the rest of the games. and we're giving it to you like different segments just so you can get a full feel of what's going on. The next game we're gonna jump into is Braulio versus the Raiders. Now the Raiders are coming in as the number 3 seed, and Braulio is coming in as the number 6 seed. This game is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Because they met in the regular season, and I believe the Raiders beat them 12-7. But these two offenses, don't expect to see a lot. As you can see right here, the Raiders' efficiency is 14th. Their scoring is 13th. Braulio's efficiency is 13th, and their scoring is 14th. So they're two of the worst offenses in the league. But defense is the key. The Raiders' defense efficiency, they're first. Braulio's defense efficiency, they're third. Raiders' total defense, they're second. Braulio's total defense, they're fifth. Braulio's 7th in sacks, second in the league in interceptions, as the Raiders are first in sacks, 10th in the league in interceptions. So this should be a very high impact defensive game.
Yeah, on both sides, because one, Braulio was able to make stops even when they were struggling to even get 6 guys on the field. They had some dude named Pedro one game.
My man Pedro, show my man Pedro love.
They was still doing defense, playing good defense, regardless of what's going on. That's one thing that this team is able to do.
They run a good system,
and that is why, regardless of what game they play, how many guys on the field, they're able to keep the games close, and that is the key. The thing that you have to worry about with Braulio. On the opposite side with the Raiders, they have had the most consistent defense throughout the season, I would say. Yes, they were first throughout, and they kind of dropped a little bit to second overall, but that is still one of the best defenses you could ever face on the field. So regardless of what number change, 1 to 2, you still have to play this team like they have the number 1 defense, because they pretty much do, since they've been so consistent throughout the season.
See, the problem with that I have, I'm Braulio, and the reason I'm not really worrying as far as the Raiders is because we like a slow-paced game. If I'm Braulio, we like, killing the clock and trying to win games 7-0 because we've done it. Braulio has lost their last 4 games. 4 games, as they won 4 in a row. They lost their first game of the season.
Yeah.
They won 4 games in a row. So they were 4-1. So you think this team's going to be dangerous. And then they lose their last 4 games in the season. But it wasn't because of the defense. Defense gave up 6. Defense gave up 13. Defense gave up 21. Then defense gave up 7. The offense has not scored. The last time this offense of the Raiders has scored was November 14th versus Rep City.
Wow.
November 14th was the last time this Raiders offense saw what it was like to be in the end zone. So if I'm Braulio, I'll take that. That makes me feel good, because at the end of the day, you can't all of a sudden create a firepower to score. Yeah. They can't score, and they showed it their last 4 games. They went into the playoffs with no offensive touchdowns in 4 games. So if I'm Braulio, that's right up my alley. We got defensive dogs. We're 5th in defense overall. We know what we could do. We're 2nd in interceptions. So when they do attempt to try to make plays, we will intercept the ball, especially playing with our probably rookie of the year in that secondary in Wakanda.
We already know that if you're the Raiders, you already know that your offense wasn't so hot. So regardless of what, defense has to start the momentum in the game, and Angel has to find a way. Angel and this offense has to find a way to get at least in the end zone once or twice, and they have a good chance of winning this game as long as their defense holds. The thing about them, one of the key stats that this team has to go on is the fact that they are the best at pressuring the quarterback. They lead the league in sacks for a team. So that is one of the reasons why they were so consistent on defense, because they were able to pressure whatever quarterback was in front of them. They have to lead the charge on that. Put pressure on Dave. They have to do that consistently, and eventually they'll be able to find a way to get momentum on offense. Now, the points that they need to win this game is one thing that they got to understand is they were 10th in interceptions this year. That's not great. So your secondary has to step up and make plays. And one thing that they can do to help that is watch Dave as he makes his throws. A lot of times, Dave's throws tends to sail up in the air, stay too long in the air. Your defense will be able to make breaks on it and get interceptions there. They have to capitalize on these plays. And next, they got to take their best defender, their best player on this team, Wakanda, out the game. They have to take him out the game, especially on defense. He leads his team at interceptions. So take him out the game, send decoys with him all throughout the game, take him out of the play, and then chop up the field on the opposite side. If they're able to do that, they may get some momentum. They may get into a rhythm that they can be successful in. And last but not least, they have to get Angels' confidence working. They have to get Angels' confidence up early. Some quick dump offs, some quick drives here and there, some consecutive plays, short plays, mind you. If they're able to get their momentum going early, that'll improve Angels' confidence, and that'll make them more, accurate in the pocket. And one of the keys to that is protecting him. Find ways of giving him extra time. One thing that they've struggled with is giving Angel time, and that leads to Angel making bad plays and getting frustrated. If they're able to do all of these things, and I think that this Raiders team has a good chance of getting a win.
Well, if I'm Braulio, first things first, I'm forcing Angel to be a quarterback, which is something. I mean, they haven't scored a touchdown in over a month. So if I'm them, I am making Angel a quarterback. I am going man on man and making Angel make a throw because he hasn't been able to do it all season. So as far as being Braulio, is second in interceptions. We're second in intos. So we're going to play a lot of man and make Angel beat us with his arm. Because he's not going to run on us. Because we got guys like Happy that can give him the ball. We got guys like Kane that can give him the ball. So we're not going to allow Angel to run the ball on us. We're going to make him throw, which is they're one of the worst teams in the league. The other side, make the Raiders send help. They lead the league in sacks, absolutely. We cannot allow Spud to do it. Spud lead their team in sacks. I'm keeping Happy on Spud. Send Joel. Because once Joel comes up to help, then that's going to leave that middle wide open. And we're going to attack the middle with guys like Wakanda, Disco even getting involved, Asa, Matrix. We got guys that's going to get involved in the passing game as long as we make the Raiders send help. Cannot allow Spud to bring some pressure on his own. If we make the Raiders send help, it's going to open things up. We keep them guys in the corners over the top. Ice and Santana can shut down the corners alone in the corners. So we need to attack the middle and over the top the safety. Not the corners. The corners are their strong points. That's the areas we want to attack them on. And my last one is I need Dave to be Dave. Kill the clock. Take your time. And then once you take your time and you get the score, they are the best onside team in the game. Yeah. So once it's under 4 minutes, we're going onside. Because at the end of the day, we get the ball back better than anybody in the league. So those are the few things, like I said, but it has to be led by Dave killing the clock. Dave is a master at using Happy out the backfield, dumping off, dumping here, dumping that. Dave doesn't need it to be a high-scoring game when he has this type of defense, especially when they get turnovers by being second in interceptions. If I can do that and kill the clock, then definitely this is a game we could come away with a win. What is your thoughts of the game? Give me a score. Who you think is going to win this?
Listen, based on the way things are with the way these teams stack up, I see a very close game, but not a high-scoring game. I see Braulio edging out this Raiders team 6-0. I believe that it's unfortunate, but the Raiders will never really get their offense off the ground, and because of that, Braulio is going to find a way to get in the end zone first, and that's going to be all she wrote for this game, and I think Braulio is going to come away with the win.
All right, we're going to wrap that moment up and jump into the next game. The next game is going to be DG versus the Sharkz. DG is coming in as the number 4 seed, and the Sharkz are coming in as the number 5 seed. Now, it's interesting, these both teams, in the regular season they play, and the Sharkz is able to come away with the win 13-12 over DG. But in all actual, the Sharks have not played great. And the main thing is the offense is pretty good. Not great, but they're in the middle of the pack. 7th in efficiency, 8th in scoring. 7th in offensive efficiency, 8th in scoring. So that's pretty decent, their offense. But their defense is what killed this team. This team was 12th in defense efficiency, 12th in defensive scoring. They're 11th in interceptions and 11th in sacks. Their defense has been their Achilles heels, even though they had guys like Herbie, Dre, Mo before he got hurt, Twan, Meek. They got a lot of defensive guys. Ralph, Ja. They got a defense, but unfortunately, it hasn't been showing on their defensive side of the ball.
The main thing is they have, and this is the key to that, they have individual talents, but they don't have a cohesive defense as a whole. And that is why they suffered, and that is why they were pretty much one of the worst in defense overall. So Orlando has to find a way to have a game plan that they can all get on the same page, because I've seen that they struggle with getting on the same page. Sometimes they would be willing to fight each other on the field, arguing, and I think that hurt them overall. They all have to show up on the field together. And if they do that and play together, communicate a little bit better, they will have a better defense overall. But they have to show that they can possibly do that. And that's on Orlando to figure that out.
And on the other side, listen, this DG team, listen, I talked about Chuck. I'm not going to lie. I said that, he was coming off one of the worst years in his career, in his last UFL thing. I was shocked that Hollywood took him at number 2 overall. And I couldn't believe that Chuck will be able to carry an offense. Listen, Chuck, it's amazing for me to believe that Chuck might win an MVP. He might win an MVP because the guy has done it. This DG team, right? Mm-hmm. Let me tell you some of their starters. Megatron, not the same Megatron, and out of shape. Trying to get back in shape, but not a dominant Megatron like we used to see. Mm-hmm. A starter. Then you have Timmy, a guy who was taken off of the A-list, and you kind of saw why. As he became a blocker. Definitely not what his former self was.
Yeah.
Then you have Dash. Dash is an all-star. Dash used to play with the Wolverines.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. Dash played in the league before, but he was on the Wolverines. Nobody really knew who this kid is. And now he's an all-star. One of the best players of DG. Then he has a guy like Wes, definitely Father Time, but Cable, who's been injured, I believe, the last 4 games.
Yeah.
So you got all of that, of the guys that I've just given you, who's been the main weapons. You also have Juice, Trackstar. Those are your main Hollywood. Those are your main guys on offense.
Bones,
who's been inconsistent this season, in and out of injury. Trev left. Then you had Randy left. So these are the offensive guys that he had. And with all that, Chuck was in second in touchdown passes behind only Ramsey.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And this team had won before losing the last game of the season to UTF, where Trackstar dropped a huge 3rd down. This team had won 4 in a row. I'm talking about beating teams like 99, beating PME, beating Never Scared, beating Blackout. They beat several good teams on that 4-game winning streak, led by their quarterback. So they're 3rd in the offense efficiency, 3rd in scoring. So listen, I can't believe myself that Chuck may win the offense. He may win the MVP. I did not expect that to happen. The guy threw 21 touchdown passes, like I said. I did not expect that bouncing back from his 15 that he threw in his last season. I don't know. I don't know. You go ahead. I don't know what to say.
First of all, I just want to briefly say it's amazing that with the 3 championships that this man won, championship MVP and whatnot, he's the GOAT of touch football, obviously, in terms of quarterbacks. But this is his first running to be MVP on an opposite team from Carver. This is not even Carver Mom. Yeah. It's a completely new team. And he is in the running to become an MVP. Like you said, you didn't see him becoming being the 2nd round pick. You thought that it was pretty much going to be a bust. as they were losing and not playing well until that four-game winning streak. That's when you kind of started changing your tone. You had to kind of flip everything that you said. So this team changed a lot of things around, and all of that was led by Chuck, and it's surprising why they've been doing so well right now.
Their defense has playing pretty decent. If you look, they're 6th in defensive efficiency, 6th in defensive scoring. They're 4th in sacks and 7th in interceptions. So this team definitely is, you could say in the middle of the pack because of their lack of firepower. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you got to give the fact that they were able to play, especially a lot of new pieces that haven't played with each other before. They had a pretty decent season, and Pam's put it all together. I understand why Hollywood wanted him to take the lead. But this is where their money counts now. This is what Hollywood brought them for now. So that's what's more important than anything else.
And that just goes to show that sometimes when you make a decision when nobody else agrees with it, sometimes it's the best decision for your team, and that's exactly what happened for this DG team.
So basically, I'm going to tell you what the Sharkz need to do to me in order to win this game. When they played DG in the beginning, in the first half, Chuck was 2 of 3 scoring. He scored 3 on 3 possessions. He scored twice. That is pretty good for him to be able to do that on his talent. In the second half, he went 0 for 3 with an interception. And what did they do in the second half? They sent multiple guys at him. As you see here, they sent two or more guys at the line of scrimmage in order to make the other guys play man. And because once they went man one-on-one, DG does not have the firepower to be able to beat the Sharkz team. They can lock up better. Don't get me wrong, they could hit 1 or 2 passes, but Chuck was 0 for 3 in the second half, basically doing that. Also, you got to get physical with these DG receivers. You don't have Boo Boo out there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't have Sal out there. You have other guys that's out there like Trackstar, seen him drop a big pass. We've seen Cable Guy drop a pass. We've seen Bones drop a few passes. We've seen West drop a few passes. You have to get physical with these guys in order to make plays. Have to get physical if you do that. And I'm not saying dirty, but every time they catch the ball, touch them a little bit. Let them know you're in the building. And last but not least, if you're them and you're Orlando, the most important thing, whoever's your starter, if Stevie's your starter, if Akon's your starter, be prepared to pull the trigger and put in the next guy. If Akon, who's most likely going to be your starter, struggles, Stevie needs to get in the second half. There is no room for friends this game. The bonus thing, the bonus message, Dre has to play ball. Dre has to play like the MVP he was when he was with this DG team. Why? You're going to see Dre drop a big first down here that causes them to punt. You see Dre get flagged for cursing in this game. You see Dre go offsides on a huge play where he got frustrated with the refs, but he was offsides, which gave DG an extra play, and they end up being successful. Dre has to be your guy. He has to be your leader, and he cannot play out of control. That is the key. He is the key out of everything else we just said. He has to play great. He has to play as an MVP in order for this team to be successful.
And to go on to DG and what they got to do, the first thing I got to say is Chuck, with this defense, with this Sharkz defense, they have a lot of talent, but like I said before, they're not good at playing together. They don't communicate. So as Chuck, what Chuck needs to do is extend the play. Stay in the pocket, have some protection there. They have Hollywood to start, and they have Timmy. Both of these guys are able to give Chuck the protection he needs. Keep him in the pocket. Take your time. Eventually, this defense is going to fall apart, and they're going to make mistakes. So extend these plays. Take your time, because in that last game, before they started sending 2, as Chuck was able to stay stable in the pocket, he was able to get some big plays downfield. So you keep consistent and take your time. The second thing is the defense needs to put pressure on the quarterback, whether it's Akon or Stevie. They got to send some blitzing strategies or whatever. Keep him on his toes. If it's Akon, he's going to be forced to run. He may get some few yards here and there, but you're not going to win the game with Akon running the ball. So keep the pressure coming. Force him to take some runs, and I guarantee they're going to be able to make some stops there. And the last point that I got to make, and this is just a fundamental point for DG, they got to find a way to catch passes. They need to be consistent and catch the ball. This is a playoff game. Regardless of what's been going on or whatever, these guys got to catch the ball. We have a whole highlight video of these guys dropping passes this season. And even some of their most consistent guys like Wes and Cable and all these other guys, they've been dropping passes. So they haven't been the best offense that they could have been, even with Chuck's 21 touchdowns. It could have been much better. They have to be considered. They have to be consistent catching the ball, playing through the contact, and they will be successful on offense. The bonus thing here that I'm going to mention is Pams has to be Pams. Pams has to take over the game. Pam has to get in these guys' face in their head and keep them in focus in the game. He has to take control of the team. That's exactly why Hollywood pulled them in here to take control of the team. So Pams has to do just that. He has to be the pop carver mob Pams to make sure that he takes control of the game. If he's able to do that, I believe that they have an opportunity to get this team focused enough to win this game.
I mean, the man's a 3-time champ, so definitely makes sense. What is your prediction of the game?
On this one, this is a tough one because that last game was that went down to the wire. It came down to a few plays. But I see in this game, I see DG edging them out 20-14 because I see this offense able to score at least 3 touchdowns to seal the game away. This Sharkz team, they may make some defensive plays, but it's not going to be enough to hold this DG offense, and DG's going to come away with the win there.
The next game we're going to talk about is PME versus Never Scared. Now, PME comes in as the number 3 seed in the West, and Never Scared comes in as the number 6 seed in the West. Listen, at the end of the day, Never Scared, unfortunately, last year they were 2-4-1. This year they're 3-6. So, I mean, not a great improvement. They won 1 game more. But they lost 2 more games. Mm-hmm. But that's not what's important. What's important is that they have a team that's capable of winning a championship. It's all about the playoffs. Now, yes, unfortunately, you have PME to play, who was a number 3 seed, who was a very good team. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you have the weapons to win and get yourself not only past this round, but all the way to a championship. I mean, listen, defensive side of the ball, they've never been a terrific defense. When I'm looking at them from last season, their defense, they were bad. They gave up 14.8 points a game. This year, they're actually in 14th in giving up points. So they're still a bad defense. Efficiency, they're 14th. Their efficiency before wasn't great. So they didn't really make up anything on the defensive side of the ball. Last year, they had 5 sacks. This year, they're 10th in sacks, so it's still pretty bad. Yeah. And they're 7th in interceptions. So the defensive side of the ball, they haven't made a real improvement. The offensive side of the ball is where they improved a lot. This team is 4th in efficiency offensively, and they're 2nd in the league in scoring. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, the additions they made with Dave, Travis, Chris has been a very big improvement. That guy should win most improved player the way he's been playing. And with Chris, the quarterback, the former starting quarterback for Harbor Humans, who that year he was the starter as far as the All-Star game. He was the All-Star starter last 2 years ago when he was throwing for Harbor Humans. So this guy can make plays. We seen him step in for Rel last season on PME and make plays offensively. This guy is definitely capable of doing something for this team. They've turned it around offensively, and that's something you have to give him props for.
I mean, one thing I could say is he's consistently thrown in most of the games at least 2 touchdowns per game. That's something that's not necessarily easy to do in a league like this with a huge field that's defensive oriented. So you got to give him his credit for that. So they got a lot of guys that stepped up and made plays for this team. Didn't really help on the defense, but that's where we're gonna get into that more on that.
For a team to be 3-6, but be 2nd in scoring, listen, that's something to be said. Now on the other side, PME. Listen, PME is definitely a middle of the pack team. Nobody really talks about them, and it gotta be frustrating for them because last year they had a good season. This year they had a good season. Listen, the improvements that they made, as I'm looking at their numbers right now, they made some great improvements. Last year, their scoring efficiency was 40%. This year, their scoring efficiency is 44.1%. So they raised it. Their efficiency in offense this year, they're second. And they're third in scoring.
Yeah.
So this team can do something on the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, their defense efficiency last year, they were 38%. Their defense efficiency this year, 33%. So they dropped it a little bit, got a little better. They're eighth, if I'm looking, they're eighth in defensive efficiency, and they're fourth in defense. That is good. Nobody expect them to be fourth. Last year, they gave up 11.5 points a game. This year, when I'm looking at it, they're giving up 10.8 points a game. So they're giving up less. They play a lot better. This team, they're not a sack team. They were the worst team in sacks last year. This year, they got ninth in sacks. But they led the league in interceptions a year ago. This year, they're fourth in interceptions. So they're still making turnovers. Pretty much still the same team. They just got to find a way to keep it going at something that they didn't do last year. That's the key right now. Last year, they lost this game versus Don't Sleep. They have to turn it around this year to get to that next round.
Now, one thing I got to say is their quarterback, Rel, has got to be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this league because he's had a successful season quietly so. He has put up the most. He has put up some efficient numbers for this team.
You can see him on the screen. Yep. Yo,
And
I'm sorry.
yeah.
You see it on the screen. Yeah.
If you look here, he's put up some efficient numbers for this team, and he's done it without making any type of drawing too much attention to yourself. And again, you kind of oversell things a little too much when it comes to teams like PME. You say, oh, they kind of get frustrated when people don't talk about them, but they've said it in multiple interviews. They don't care if people talk about them. They want you to respect them on the field, take them seriously, or don't, because they're gonna win the game whether you take them seriously or not. That's the whole key. They don't like being. They don't care about not being under the radar or whatever. Not take them seriously. Sleep on them. Who cares? They gonna win that game, and that's the way that their mentality is going into most of their games. And I don't see no different going into this playoff.
And their 1-2 punch is crazy in Jaquan and Chad. They both had 6 touchdowns apiece. So that's something definitely to be reckoned with when you got two guys. You have 12 touchdowns between two guys. Now, Rel only threw 16 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So more than I would say, 80% of his thing, 85% of his touchdown passes went to these two guys.
Yeah.
But that's a great 1-2 punch.
And one thing we got to also say, mention about going under the radar is their A-player Pablo. He's been quiet in the way he's played the season. But when he's on the field and he's making plays, it's noticeable.
And he takes everybody else's play to the next level.
And he's a good decoy because guys are going to follow where he's at.
Which is why Chad is having a great season, I think.
Yes, he opens it up for them. And when he's needed to make that big play, he is always there to make it. If you see these plays here, he's catching passes over guys. Doesn't matter who they put to guard him. He's find ways to break away. And when you have such guys that's able to do this on the offensive end, no wonder Rel is having some positive numbers. And another thing I gotta say before we get into the keys to winning is you gotta give Will some credit, because he's been able to protect Rel and keep his sack numbers low this season. He's gotten sacked a lot more last season than he did this season, and that's because of the improved protection coming from Will leading the charge here. So this is an all-around improvement across the board for this PME team.
And they was able to beat Never Scared in the regular season 20-14 in a close game. And with all that being said, you have to give props to Doughboy. One thing about this team is in the past they were known to complain about things.
Yeah.
And we see him make excuses about things. They haven't been that team this season. They have went and when they've made a mistake, they have accepted it. When they win the games, they accepted it. When they lose games, they accepted it. They don't really sit down and really complain. And that guy to say Doughboy has done a great job. They had a lot of guys who left. And instead of folding, this team has been stronger.
Yes.
They're more a tight-knitted group, and they're definitely a team to be reckoned with. I know we always talk about the Blackouts, the Grindtime. Listen, this team is number 3. You got to talk about them as an efficient team to win the championship. Now, with that being said, when you talk about both these teams, I'm going to give you the keys for PME to win this game. 1, attack, attack, attack. Listen, Jaquan and Chad are your money makers. Them guys both have 6 touchdowns. But Pablo's another weapon. Shane is another weapon. They have too much firepower for Never Scared, who has one of the worst defenses in the league. I mean, the worst. They're terribly bad. And this is what they got to do. The next thing. We know Chris, the quarterback of Never Scared. He was PME's former starter. You know him. Make him uncomfortable and get in his head. He threw 2 picks last time they played. I'm talking about after certain plays, if I'm them, I'm saying something in his ear. When he's coming on the field, I'm saying something to him. Anything to throw off his rhythm, especially when you know him as well as you do, that's what I'm doing. And the third thing, and the most important thing, no dumb mistakes. No giving games away. You saw us give a game away against DG when we ran the ball in, when we knew on 4th down, which we could have got the ball back at half. We gave the game away against Blackout when all we had to do was run for the 1st down, and we didn't really make that play. We cannot give teams games. If we stay focused and play the way we're supposed to play, we could definitely come away with this win.
To speak on Never Scared, one thing I got to say first is one thing that they got to do, because one thing you got to understand is when Rel is comfortable in the pocket, he finds ways to get into the end zone, and then Chad and Jaquan, these guys have big games. So you got to put pressure on him, and the key to that is getting by Will. Will has been a more stable blocker this season, but one thing that has not changed is he struggles with battling against speedy guys. So you send a fast giver, maybe send help every now and then, and you're going to get by Will eventually. So once you do that, you're able to put pressure on Rel, and you can make a difference on his game. So that's the first point. The second point is Travis has to take a lead for this team. Never Scared. He has to be the number 1 A player. He has to be the number 1 drafted player. He has to play like it. He has to take over on this team, on defense and offense, whatever he has to. Set up the strategy to best fit your play. And when he's able to be successful, it's going to make everybody else better. They need that in this game. And then the last point I'm going to make is Chris of Never Scared, who's played for Super Friends, has been their most efficient player this season. They cannot forget him. Chris, as a quarterback, has to find him on his field. Travis and Dave and all of these other guys have to find a way to make things easier for him, get the pockets, get the gaps open for Chris to have a big game. They need that. In order for them to be that much more successful, they'll have a better shot of winning this game.
Yeah, we know Chris, who we usually call Flash.
Yes.
We call him Flash because of his speed. So definitely they got to keep, that's the one he's talking about. Not Chris the quarterback.
Yeah, because confused as 2 Chris's on the team.
But definitely some good points there. Give me your prediction for the score.
And the prediction to me right now, when it comes to these 2 teams, this one is going to be a tough one. But I think I see Never Scared edging this PME team out 13-12. I see PME doing just the main thing that you told them not to do. I see them in a close game. I see them making mistakes. I see Rel and this offense making mistakes, and I see them giving away enough points for Never Scared to get the win. One thing about Chris is he is consistent with scoring at least 2 touchdowns a game. I think that's going to be all they need, and with the certain plays that PME make in terms of mistakes, they're going to cost themselves a game, and they're going to give away one 13-12.
All right, we're going to jump into the next one we wanted to talk about, which is 99 versus Rep City. Now, these 2 teams met in the regular season where 99 came away with the win 20-19. Let me tell you something. 99 started off pretty good offensively, and then they dropped. You know, they haven't played on the same level. They've been a lot frustrated. You see Shannon get frustrated, and I don't think that this team has made plays needed to win games. If you look at the offensive efficiency, they're only 8th in offense. Their scoring offense, they're 6th in scoring. At one time, they was all the way at 3rd, and now they're at 6th. Defensive side of the ball, they're 10th in defense efficiency. They're 11th in defensive scoring. They sacked the quarterbacks, only 7th in the league, but they're tied for 2nd with Braulio with interceptions. I think that is the key for this team to create turnovers. They take chances, especially Slutty, but if you've been doing that, you got to. I mean, listen, that's what they do, and it's you can't expect to change it now. These numbers are exactly why they are what they are. They're the number 4 seed playing Rep City, who's the number 5 seed.
And the one thing about this 99 team is, especially led by Shannon, they're a team that's one play away from a big play. Especially if Shannon's running or keeping running, getting a breakaway, that can lead to them getting into the end zone in and of itself. So once Shannon is having a comfortable game or he's able to run and do whatever he wants, then they're that much more better. The thing about it is, another thing is, when Shannon is able to consistently connect with Slutty, that makes their offense that much better and that much more tougher for them to beat. So these two key things is one things that they'll always be in the contendership to win a game. Their defense hasn't been the same as they were in the year previously. They lost a lot of players, but regardless of what, they still have some consistent playmakers in Christian and Radio. You have Slutty there that's good in the red zone because he hasn't been great downfield, but in the red zone, Slutty is a lockdown defender. So these key things, they have to be efficient in all of them to give them that shot to win that game.
And on the other side, you got all hail to the champs. Rep City definitely coming into this game looking to make some noise and defend their title. Now, they got away with a lot saying during the season it's not all about regular season.
Yeah, they've been saying that for years now.
Now it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if you lose this game, first of all, not only is you kind of the laughing stock, but everybody forgets what you did to win that championship.
Yeah.
So you got to at least win this game. If you can at least win this game, then you're going to get more props and more respect on your championship last year because it's not looked at as a fluke. You just got hot at the right time. You looked at as a team that's definitely elite and can win games. Now, listen, their offense has not been great. They're 11th in offensive efficiency, 11th in scoring. So, their offense hood has not had the greatest season that you would expect. They expected a little more. I thought that they should have did a trade for Reggie, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. On the other side of the ball, defense, their defense efficiency, they're 7th in defense efficiency, which is not terrible. That's pretty good. But they're 11th in defense. So they give up points. They shut you down somewhat as you see their efficiency, but they still find a way to give up points, which is bad. They're 12th in sacks and 14th in interceptions. But the thing about Rep City, they had these same type of bad numbers last year when they went on a run in the playoffs.
And the funny thing is, this is going to be something that a lot of people aren't going to like this analogy, but it's almost like the presidential election in 2016. When they was talking about, when a lot of people said Trump had no chance of winning, that he's this and whatever, and then all of a sudden he ends up winning, defying all of the polls and everything like that. That's exactly what Rep City had last season when they won a championship. They were one of the worst teams in the league, and they ended up running through every team that was put in front of them to win that championship. So a lot of the numbers, you can't necessarily take them, as saying, oh, this team is a team I could just run through, because you don't know what Rep City team you're going to get. Regardless of what hood season they had in the regular season, one thing that they've proven is that in the playoffs, they can be a different animal. So they have to come out and show that, because like you said, if they don't, they'll be a laughing stock. So they have no choice at this point. I believe that they have nothing to lose yet again, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen? All it's going to do is they're going to play and they're going to lose. So they might as well put it all on the line because they're defending the championship, so they would have to at the end of the day.
Well, we're going to jump into what's the points of the game. I think for 99, they got to hope Shannon is healthy. Shannon's last game of the season, he was hurt. Yeah. He didn't play Slutty through. He had a bad knee injury, and they're hoping that he can get back. He had 2 weeks rest. So coming into the game, we hope he's able to make plays, and they have to keep protection for him. Do not expect Shannon to run as much. Shannon was the most sacked quarterback in the season. You got to give him protection. Don't make him do everything on his own. Next one. This is why they drafted Slutty. Shannon said, I need a number one. Twan is not a number one. The other guys on the team is not number one. I need a number one. He drafted his number one receiver. He needs to touch the ball on every drive. Not every play, but every possession he needs to catch at least 1 to 2 passes to keep him in the game, because when this guy gets hot, he can take a game over. And on the other side, we were tied for second in interceptions. Take your chances. Take your risks. Sometimes you're going to get beat, but no risk it, no biscuit. Go and do what you've been doing all season long, taking risks, going after the ball. Get that ball back for Shannon, and you can win this game.
First of all, I'm not really not much of a fan of biscuits, so I don't really like that analogy. Some biscuits are nasty. I'm
biscuits.
sorry.
Biscuits is awesome.
Listen, what was the Red Lobster biscuits are pretty good. Those are good, but other than that,
not the Kennedy's biscuits.
No. Those are nasty. But okay, now to get on the 99, the Rep City side. Like I said, this team has nothing to lose yet again. Yes, they defended a championship, but they're still the underdog. And that's something that's funny to say that a championship team is the underdog. But the points that they have to make in this game is, one thing they got to do early is they got to keep Shannon. Again, if he plays and there's an opportunity for him to be healthy, he's going to have to use his legs regardless of what. He's going to have to find a way to break away and extend the plays with his feet. Without that, Shannon's not the same quarterback. So they have to find a way to keep Shannon contained in the gaps. Do not let him break away. He's going to make some big plays. He's going to get a rhythm. Do not do that. Keep him in the pocket because he is the most sacked quarterback in the league because of that, as teams started to find out how to stop this man. So after you do that, you have to attack Slutty downfield on offense. Take some shots. Beat him, because when you played him before, you were able to beat him twice. You scored 2 touchdowns on his head twice in a row. Eventually, Slater said he woke up or whatever. The point is, you were able to get plays on him. Attack him early. The worst thing that can happen is you take him out of the play, open it up for everybody else. So you gotta attack him early. You may be able to get an advantage on him. And in the end, Hood and Wesley have to connect in this game the way they have early in the season. When these guys were performing and connecting together, they were able to put up a lot of points. In that game against Never Scared, Wesley had 3 touchdowns by himself. Overall, Hood scored 5 touchdown passes in that game. Yes, Never Scared is not a good example because they have a terrible defense, but the fact that they were able to be that efficient regardless of what is saying that they have to find a way to connect on offense. Hood has to start this momentum connecting with Wesley early, and they'll have a shot in this game.
Okay, what is the final score you think would be from this game?
Honestly, I see this being a 21-13 game in favor of 99. I see that regardless of what happens with Shannon, I think that he's get the 2 weeks off is gonna be enough for him to get himself recollected and able to get more healthy and able to move again. And once he's able to do that, and Slutty has a better game on defense, I think that he will. I think that him getting beat, those days are over, at least for right now. He's going to step up on defense and make a few big plays that's going to make a difference for this game.
I think that game's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Rep City has a lot of weapons.
They do.
A-Rod, Tess, Meech, Rel, Matt. They got a lot of weapons,
but
man.
they've had all of those
Wesley.
weapons.
So,
yes, but my thing is,
Debo.
All of that is
B.
true.
Blocking.
Yes, all of that is true. But again, all of that matters if they get those weapons working. And that's all on Hood. Hood has to be the key. Like I said, they have to connect with Wesley, but regardless of what, I think that this game is in Hood's hands. They chose him to be their starting quarterback. He has to play like the starting quarterback. And one person that we didn't even mention in the keys is Matt. Matt has to be involved in this game. He has to show why they drafted him. He's been very conservative this season. Playoffs have to be a different animal. This man has to play like the hungriest guy on the field. And that's my bonus point.
But you picked 99.
Yes, I picked 99. But again, Rep City, it could be a close game, like you said.
Okay.
So my key point, my extra point for Rep City, which were the points I was making, is the difference maker besides Hood has to be Matt. We haven't really heard from him all season. He has to be the player that they drafted. He has to be hungry. In that interview, he said he believes he's better than all the guys that was drafted above him. He has to show that. This is the key now. This is where it matters. And he has to show why they drafted him, and he has to be efficient on the field.
All right, people. This is the final game teams are going to go over before we wrap this one up, the playoff matchups. We have 2 teams that have byes. You had UTF and Grindtime that had a bye. Both of them actually won their last game of the season. Grindtime beating 99 in the game that they didn't even need.
Yeah.
and you'd have beaten DG to lock in the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. So those two teams are teams waiting for these teams, the other teams to go forward and play next week. Now the thing I'm going to talk more about Grindtime. Listen, Grindtime has showed exactly the team that they are. They're repeated as winning division. They won a division last year. They went to 2 consecutive championships. And when it was an All-A, they lost to IOD. They went last year, winning the division. They lost to Rep City. So now they started off again with winning the division. This team has an opportunity to get back to the championship. And listen, they've been great. All you can say is they've been great. This team has lost 1 game. They went 8-1 this season. And if you look, offense, their offense efficiency, they're 5th in offense efficiency. They're 4th in scoring. So when they have opportunities, they're 5th best in opportunities when they get the ball, and they're 4th in as far as scoring overall. But the big thing about this team is their defense. Now, this is the crazy part about it. They're 12th in sacks. They don't pressure the quarterback very well. They're 5th in interceptions, which is, pretty good. But they're 2nd in defensive efficiency and 3rd in overall defense. So at the end of the day, this team makes stops. That's what they do. They make stops. And they've beaten top teams. They beat Blackout. They beat DG. They beat the teams that needed to be beaten in their conference. And then they went on the other side and they beat a 99 Problems team. They beat whoever you put in front of them. Only loss they came was to PME. So you got to give this team their props. They're great at bending but not breaking. Led by their leader, Jigga. Led by their secondary guy in Jalen, who once he got back from school, he has been dominant on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
Prince Mo has shown why it's amazing to us that he slipped all the way to 8th in the draft. With guys like Femi going before him, who was a bust. Guys like Matt going before, guys like Femi going, who went before him? Femi. We got guys like, we showing why Prince Mo is shocking to us going 8th. He had guys like Femi go before him, who was a bust. You had guys like Corey going before him, who didn't even play. So it's just amazing that guys went in front of him, and he has played great. The other guy who's been playing great for this team, Prince Mo. I'm sorry. The other guys who have been playing great, Prince. Prince has brought the toughness to this Grindtime team that they lost and other guys leaving. He brought the toughness. Davin played great this year for this team. They had a lot of guys that's played great for them. Bo having a good season. And not having the season that he had before, but he's showing capable of making plays. Shaw, same thing. Not having the season he had before, but showing the capability of making plays. At the end of the day, the core guys that they have been playing great. Now, it all comes down to their starting quarterback, the reigning league MVP. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to defend the title. He's not up there for the running for that. It's amazing that you could say a reigning MVP is a guy that they have to hope don't hurt them. And listen, Lou has thrown 19 touchdown passes this year. He threw 19 touchdown passes last year when he won MVP. He actually beat Ramsey for the league MVP. The problem with Lou this season is he has thrown 10 interceptions when he only threw 3 last year. I believe he's thrown the most pick sixes, 4. He's also, sacks went up. He was sacked only 4 times last year. This year he sacked 11 times. So those numbers has all went up. Yes, last year they played 7 games. This year they played 9, 2 more games. But that's still a big turnaround in his numbers. Now listen, I will never put nothing against Lou saying that he's going to cause the team the game, not being a reigning MVP, not going to 2 straight championships. But you have to be concerned if he's the main cog that can actually hurt your team as it's never been said before for an MVP to do that.
Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say that they have to worry about him making mistakes or anything like that. I think the key to that is they haven't had the same protection this year as they did in the last couple years. Remember, Yomi hasn't been playing until the last couple games that they played because he's been injured. And then you have E-Rock that's not necessarily always healthy, so he can't always block for Lou either. And that's why when Lou's under pressure, he doesn't make the accurate throws. He threw 4 pick sixes this season. And that just shows the difference in the protection that he had this season. So I don't think it's on him, but now that Yomi's back, maybe that's going to be the difference maker that they need for him to be more efficient in the playoffs. So that we'll have to wait and see on that. But I disagree in saying that they have to worry about him more than anything else.
I don't think they do. But as you know and as you heard, teams say, and people say that Lou is going to be the reason that this team lose. I think that's ridiculous because he's a reigning league MVP. Been to 2 championships in a row. So I don't see that as efficient, but this is what the teams say.
All right, well, now I have to speak about UTF. First of all, we bring up in UTF, they are sick. They have efficiency on offense is 6th. Their overall scoring is 7th. So they are very iffy when it comes to scoring. They started out hot in the beginning, like as they got their mojo going with Jeremy having some key passes to end games and whatnot, walk-offs. So they were looking impressive. Then they had the 3-game drop-off, where they didn't score not a point.
Well, they won 5 in a row.
Yes, they won 5 in a row. Then they had their 3-game drop-off. You know, they were able to clinch the division with their 6th win against DG, but that 3-game drop-off had me worried. And it still has me a little bit worried. And the worries that I had in the beginning of the season kind of came back. You know, their defense, though, their efficiency in defense is 5th. So they always had a defense that always kept them in games. So that's something that's going to be a key in this in their next playoff game. Their total defense was 7th. So again, they weren't the best, but they were always in the middle of the pack, always finding ways to make plays. So that is always going to be a key. And the 2 things here, they were 4th in sacks and 5th in interceptions. So they were able to get those big plays to get the offense back on the field.
What I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, which is a lot of the keys to how their offense was able to improve with those extra possessions given by their defense.
I think the main person that you got to worry about if UTF is the possibly guy who's possibly up there for Defensive Player of the Year in Randy. The guy has 5 interceptions, 2 sacks, 2 to 3 sacks, I believe. This guy has played on all sides of the ball defense and actually has helped them be a pretty good defense.
And another person that have definitely been a big factor in this game has been Mamba. Mamba has been Jeremy's main target on this field. Remember how we used to talk about Corey having Brandon as his main target? Yep. But with Jeremy, his main target has been Mamba. It was Randy in the beginning. Randy was that guy, that safety valve, that whenever he needs a big play, Randy's always find a way to make that play. Then you have Mamba always being that guy to get him into the end zone. So these 2 guys have been huge for Jeremy this season. Yep. And as they started improving their game towards the end, that's when Jeremy's numbers started to improve. Yep. But the thing about it is, with all of this being said, I'm still worried about this UTF team. I'm worried because a lot of times their blocking has not been as efficient as it needed to be. And I was looking at G with his decline play. Frankie kind of stepped up and made a difference in that pocket for Jeremy. So I think that's going to be the key to that. If Jeremy is going to be running for his life yet again, like it was in the beginning of the season, they're going to have problems. But if it was like the way that they played DG and they were able to get it together and protect Jeremy, I think they have a good shot of, you know, keeping their momentum going from that last game.
You
that
never
they played.
went over Jeremy's numbers.
No, yeah. Sorry. And the key to that. Okay, let me go back. Jeremy, who I'm going to point out, his numbers were 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and 7 sacks.
That's 12 and 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yes, he had 3 rushing touchdowns, so a total of 14 touchdowns. 3 of them was rushing in. So one thing I could say is, besides Shannon, this guy Jeremy has been the best running quarterback in the league.
I think he's the most elusive.
Yes, he's been one person that has bigger breakaways than Shannon.
Yeah,
and had certain plays where he'll run 50 yards, running into the end zone or whatever from halfway down the field. Another thing about this UTF team is they started up with a lot of trick plays that got them some big yardage. So they're a very unpredictable team. But this 12 interceptions worries me, and I think that's because of the lack of protection Jeremy had throughout the season. So protection has to be a big factor in this game if Jeremy's going to stay focused and make the plays that he needs to make.
I think also they can hurt you on all sides of the ball. We've seen Dev run some kicks.
Yes.
Very dangerous. These guys block. They pitch the ball back. They are a very energetic team, and the problem is once you kill their momentum, you can beat this team. They start going against each other. And it all starts, like I said, with Jeremy. You saw those numbers. Those are they're numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you add, again, on the defensive side of the ball, he has 3 sacks, I believe. So first of all, he has to be up there for the Johnny Rockstar Award.
Yeah.
You can love him, you can hate him, but at the end of the day, the Johnny Rockstar Award is about heart and determination, playing every play, and that's exactly what Jeremy did this season.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, we have to hope that they have enough firepower and enough playmaking to win games. Now, we've seen the team that we saw against DG, but we also seen the team that lost 3 games in a row.
Not scoring, by the way.
Exactly. So we have to know what you're going to get and hope that you get the team that actually won the division and not the team that kind of almost gave it away.
And that's gonna be the difference maker for them, because if they come out making those same mistakes, having those same problems as they did when they went on that 3-game losing streak, they're going to have a lot of problems coming in. And I don't think that this week off does them any favors. You want to keep the momentum going. You want to keep them, like I said, you want to keep the momentum going, let them cool off, because then they may revert back into the same issues that they had early in the season. So that's the thing I'm worried about.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up. Hope y'all like the show. This was a quick matchup for us. Going over the UFL matchups in the playoffs. Hopefully I enjoyed it. It was a special edition. We appreciate y'all guys. Definitely All-Star game is coming. Award nominees will be up next week. We'll tell y'all. You'll get to see the All-Stars. We probably let the All-Stars know who's there this weekend at the games, and we'll do something later on for that. But we're going to thank y'all guys. Hope y'all enjoyed this show. We're going to see y'all guys on Saturday on the field, as somebody ain't coming back. So on behalf of Real Tough Talk Matchup, I'm Stephen J, my partner Ghost, and we're going to see y'all guys for the playoffs in the UFL. We out of here. Much love, guys. Oh, I'm keeping everything here. I'm not taking anything. You're going to need all.